Welcome to the Elemental Lifestyle Podcast. This is a 3-part series with Shay Sun about radical self-acceptance. And this is part 3. Welcome. Greetings to you. I am your host, Katrina Starr. I'm the alchemist for extraordinary men. And my work with men and women over the last 5 years continually leads me to the places of helping to support sexual trauma and embracing all of the aspects of our power. And this podcast, the 3rd part, is really a beautiful testimonial to the power of radically accepting that we are all sexual beings. And however that shows up for each of us can be very different. And to embrace and accept our differences without shame or judgment towards those differences. So it is with great reverence and gratitude that we continue this conversation. And I'm actually overcome with tears this morning as I'm recording this, because there's so much healing and opening that can happen for us in this place of even just accepting our sexuality and the ripple impact that it leads to our children and to our communities when we actually really fully embrace our power. And part of our power is our sexuality. So thank you, Shay Sun, for being in this space with me for the last 3 weeks for this podcast. And I encourage you, if you have not listened to the part 1 or part 2 of this, because goodness and success is all part of creating emotional safety. And all of that actually is about embracing fully that we are sexual beings. So our goodness is about embracing our sexuality. Our success is about embracing our sexuality. And our ability to create emotional safety for others is about fully accepting our sexuality. Blessings to you on this beautiful day. Blessings. Sovereign, as you mentioned, Shay, to be sovereign is to really be able to uncover and embrace all of these aspects. And so I want to be a place of encouragement and like joy. As a woman, I have allowed that deep place of uncovering. And then even with the nice guy, that type of energy, I'm now able to go, okay, yeah, that's great. And bring the spice, bring
Yes.
your no,
Yes.
bring the like, ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like it when this happens. Bring the bad boy
Yes.
energy, but
Yes.
bring it in a place where you're actually respectful of
Yes.
everyone in the room.
Yes. I agree. I love that. Oh my
Mm,
goodness, I love it so much. All the women listening, that was gold.
mm. Like I have goosebumps upon goosebumps, and all of the men who are listening, that is your work. Your work is to be able to embrace and accept the places where you were conditioned that the bad boy is the guy that has fun and is able to be like a place that's revered and like, wow, he's hot, sexy, right? To know that that's an illusion that we've created in our society. That is actually does not create safety or connection for anyone, especially the women that you desire to connect with, whether at work, whether in your personal life, whether it's children. That is not the way that it like not it is
it is an avenue that's been shown to us that does not work.
Because the truth is, we are all sexual beings. The woman is a sexual being. You are a sexual being. So any facade that says, oh, I don't see you as a sexual being, or I don't see myself as a sexual being, is a lie. And that lie gets in the way of the relationship. The first thing I said, and I hope it's, can I use profanity or no?
Yes. Yep.
So the first thing I said to my girlfriend when I saw her, when she sent me some photos of her, I mean, like just regular photos, like her and her children, things like that. The first thing I said to her was, oh my gosh, you look like a fucking Disney princess. And like, she was like, who is this guy? And I said it in the most authentic way. It wasn't like me trying to be whatever. I was just being myself. And she took it that way. She took it from a really good place. And like, I tell her she's beautiful all the time. I don't do this. I mean, of course, I tell her she's wise, but I don't lie to myself and try to just say, well, you have a great personality. Even though you do, I still tell her like, my gosh, like, you're so fine. I tell her all the time. Like last night when she was falling asleep, I said what I say. I said, don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, babe. Like, and then I jumped into and when she smiles, the whole world stops and stares for a while. Like, I literally want her to know that she's beautiful to me. And I also tell her, because of the church I go to, the spiritual community, there's a lot of, most of like my friends are like 73. And I look at these ladies and I'm like, they're beautiful. And I see them also, even though I don't want to, I mean, I have a girlfriend, I see even them as sexual beings. And by seeing the whole spectrum of life as sexual beings, what it does for me is it makes me not afraid of my own age. And it makes me not afraid of my girlfriend aging, because I know that I will always find Shay Sun sexy and fuckable. And I will always see my girlfriend later that way too. And I'm going to see her that way. And that somehow brings, it destroys that idea of lack in a relationship. And what it does for her, it calms down her nervous system, because I have a lot of beautiful women in my life. I mean, my family alone. But then as I've gotten, I mean, some of the coaches in my lives, they're gorgeous. And yet I always tell her that they can come and talk to me and do whatever, but you hold a special place in my life. And that makes her feel safe. And she has to remind herself that Shay is different. And it's true. I've never cheated on my wife. The closest I ever got to, in quotes, cheating, when I was 15 years old, I started dating my girlfriend, and my parents didn't like that. So they sent me to China, and I started holding hands with a girl, talking about my girlfriend, how much I missed her at home. I came back and I told my girlfriend that I held her hands with another girl. And because she was devastated by me holding hands with another girl, and I saw the pain that she experienced, I vowed to myself that I'd never, ever hurt a woman again in that way. And that's seared into my consciousness. And so because of that, I know my boundaries. And I know the fact that I can make a woman feel loved and special through conversation, but it doesn't mean the fact that I want to jump in bed with them, because that's, for me, currently, I have one person who that's reserved for, and she's okay with me sharing with other people like my experiences with her, because she knows that it's for the greater good of all, including women like herself, or for me, like in my marriage, I thought that I was a pervert because of my high libido and because I was so interested in sex. So it was a lack of sexual compatibility. And now that I've experienced alignment when it comes to interests and sexual libido and things like that, then you can actually be authentic, and you can express sexual expression, sexual freedom. And it's a very Zen-like place when you can have that, share existence, share time space that way. There's something that you cannot order it offline, online. You cannot drive through and ask someone to supersize it. It doesn't work that way, because the work really begins with you, whether or not your pleasure matters to you. If pleasure matters to you, then you can share that pleasure with others. But as long as you're afraid of your own pleasure, you have nothing to give. Or if you do have something to give, it's not going to come from a place of wholeness. So this is where like you have so much to give. I believe, this is my belief, and this could be my own bullshit. I believe every single person on this planet, regardless of their anything, demographics, color of skin, background, trauma, physical trauma, I believe that we're all sexual beings. And I believe that we all can activate in the other person a feeling of being desired. That is our sacred, spiritual, creative energy that we can share with another human being. And that's yummy. That's beautiful. That's sexy.
You know, when you were sharing that, I was hearing being witnessed, right? That we can be witnessed. Desire is so potent for ourselves. And I think that desire, that creation of desire, when we really want, when we desire ourselves, that is when we can share desire with others and not prevent that place of, I mean, how many of us, I was in a marriage, I did not cheat. There wasn't places of true, and I've seen the pain, like I've experienced the pain of being on the other side of that betrayal. And it's devastating. It's very, very painful to experience infidelity and betrayal. But it's allowed me to actually understand what betrayal really is. And it's the betrayal of ourself. It's the betrayal of our own desires. And I did that for many, many years. I betrayed my own desires and my own place of connection with myself because I was dependent on another person to be able to access that. So I love this conversation is so, it's so important, because I desire for all of the listeners to know they're not alone, that wherever you are in this stage of your path and your growth and your transformation, that there are others who are exactly right where you are. I mean, there's almost 8 billion people on this planet. We always have this tendency, well, this is so grandiose and painful, and I'm in so much suffering, or that I'm the only one going. No, you're not. And there's also this other flip side. That's that invitation to pure joy and happiness, to know that there is that invitation that's always here for us to be our fullest goodness and to not deny that we are sexual beings. Shay, I've enjoyed this. Your last name is Sun. My last name is Star. And let's let this radiate out to all so that they can accept their brilliance and their shine and their power.
Yeah, I love it. I honestly believe it's an invitation to be on journey, to unlearn, relearn, and continually learn what it means to be human, what it means to be divine, what it means to be a sexual being.
Like, it's so funny in this conversation too. We have, like, I'm a very laughing, playful person. I know you are too.
Yeah.
And like, we went deep into places.
We did. That's
like,
so funny.
Wow. Like, we went deep.
We did go deep. We did go deep. Thank you so much. Katrina, you are an amazing human being. You are amazing, divine light. Thank you so much for inviting me into your space and inviting me to speak with your audience. And I want nothing but the best for you and all those who hear from you.
You know what? Thank you. And I receive that. And I am delighted in the places where you show up in your play. And to know, for everyone on this podcast to know, yes, we kind of went deep, like shake it off, like go do something in nature, be dancing, playful, like invite in the places of laughter, even like that we can laugh and bring in that abundance. So I just want to emphasize the importance for all of us to know that, yeah, we can have these serious topics and discussions, but we can also allow play and excitement and joy. And I really appreciate you, Shay. Thank you for your, and I just, there's one last piece here though.
Yeah.
For you, in what you're creating is creating safety for children as well.
Yeah.
like, I just speak to that, please, because this is really important. It touches something that's so important for our future.
Yeah. So for me, um, a child's journey and sense of self is extremely important. And I know that parents play a huge role. And I know that statistically, most 50% of marriages end in divorce. And I know that second marriages also end in divorce at a higher rate. So for the child's emotional safety, it's extremely important that women have a good sense of their own selves as sexual beings, so they could be role models. And so that way, when men are brought into the space, that they also are psychologically and emotionally safe space, so that their children can be raised in a space where it is as healthy and as exciting and as non-sexual shaming, instead normalizing that pleasure is our birthright. And I believe that we have in our current experience and consciousness that there are really two extremes, either abstinence or passing out condoms. And I don't believe the fact that those are the only two choices. I think the fact that there's another option, and another option is actually to recognize that the body is not dirty and it's not shameful, and that pleasure, just like when a baby is sucking on their thumb, we don't call that disgusting. We call that self-soothing. And I believe the fact that if we can normalize self-soothing, self-pleasure in a way that is actually non-shaming and non-judging, I wonder, because I've worked with teenagers for 21 years, actually longer than that, like more like 24 years. I wonder whether or not maybe there wouldn't be so much angst when it comes to our teenagers. I wonder whether or not, as teenagers go through puberty and they are sort of developing their sexual organs, whether or not it's actually shame that causes them to go through what we traditionally see as normal teenage behavior. But if a teenager actually feels that it's normal, that it's beautiful, that it's not scary, I wonder whether or not, I'm curious as to whether or not they would be more healthy, vibrant, whole human beings when they're older. I know for myself, I mean, I like to journal. I have journals and journals and journals of prayers and of shame because of self-pleasuring. And I remember going to college and not feeling like a coward for not expressing that to my youth minister, because that's when I was going to traditional church. And then when I got to college, I had the courage to share that with my spiritual mentor, or with my, and he said that I was having sex with myself and that it was selfish. That didn't help my sense of me being a sexual being. So I think for all kids out there who may or may not be listening, if they are, I would highly encourage them to talk with their parents and ask them, what does it mean that we're sexual beings? And even if it's embarrassing, what does that really look like? Because if we continue to outsource sexual exposure to entertainment, and I think the fact that people are going to have I'm all for entertainment, by the way. I really am. I'm not a prude about entertainment when it comes to like pleasure. But what I am asking for is a more balanced perspective of what real sex looks like. And if no one is willing to have a conversation about real sex, then we should not be surprised when we see things happening when these men are especially men, are ill-equipped to deal with their natural human biological needs. I think that we are literally not taking the opportunity, not taking the teaching moments that we can as adults. I love children. Like I said, I adopted 2 from China, and I love kids, especially upper elementary and middle school. I love those guys. And I want nothing but the best for them. And I want all of them to have a healthy sex life when they come to the age where they can do that in a way that's responsible and healthy. And I want that for my children. I want that for my grandchildren and my great grandchildren.
Yes. I'm basking in this because that's the empowerment that I've worked with a lot of women with sexual trauma as well. And I've done a lot of healing in that space too, with my own trauma as a 5-year-old. And so what I was just like, the more we as women, especially now today, embrace our power of our sexuality and we don't deny it. I mean, there really honestly, I would say a year ago, I was like, I'm not interested. I'm just going to be celibate for the rest of my life. Like there's I'm not willing to do that because, the place, it just didn't seem safe. So, and this is a place of where I've shared so much about sexuality, so much about how important it is. I mean, so many years of this podcast even. And so that's the place where I just really want that invitation for all of us to know that we can create those safe places within our families, within our culture and our communities to embody and embrace that it is healthy and vital to be with our goodness. And part of our goodness is our sexuality and our spirituality and oh my God, our emotional intelligence, our emotions, our goodness is all these places. So Shay, I am so grateful for you.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for the work that you're doing. I'm grateful for everyone who is in this place. Please reach out to Shay. All the information is in the description. You can connect with Shay. Shay, what are you working on right now in the thing that is just you're bringing forward and you really want to share here?
Yeah, so my first book is called The Happy Mindset. And so right now, what I'm birthing within me is really more of the pleasure mindset. And what does that mean? Because happiness in my mind really is, after the research, it's really about pleasure, peace, and purpose, meaning. And I realized that purpose and meaning is something we often talk about in our culture, right? Like, what is your passion in life? And we do talk about peace in relation to like inner peace or mental health. But the area of pleasure is is least researched. So what I'm working right now is I'm watching a lot of documentaries, TED Talks, reading books. I have like so many sex books like really on my desk right now, both ancient wisdom and also more modern. And I'm having conversations with men and women. Actually, I say mostly women, but now realizing the fact that I need to understand the other side as well. I need to understand my own trauma when it comes to men. And so that's what I'm working on. I'm working on just wanting to know what is the reality out there and how can I create something that can be really useful. That's what I'm really, really, really working on and pondering, because my book really does give you, I can say this without lots of ego or whatever, but I really did unlock happiness in 4 steps with just 11 questions. It really did pinpoint it. And I believe that does relate to the sexual part too. But I think there's a special flavor that human sexuality has. And for me, I really do want to, I want to be like I want to be the person that people go to when they say, hey, I want to hear about female pleasure from a male perspective. And they're like, Shay Sun, that's the person to go to. If they can think that thought, I would feel honored beyond belief, because I believe that women have heard so much bullshit in their lives that for a woman to say that, especially minority women, if you give me a bunch of minority women that say, like in my culture, it's super like shameful and things like that, but go to Shay. Shay will hold space for you. Shay will listen to your story. Shay will help you on the journey of that healing, that shame, and feeling that self-expression. Because that's what I've realized. A lot of women are now telling me about their earliest masturbation exploration that took place. They're telling me about their marriages. They're telling me about their relationships after their marriage and their divorce. I'm having women share with me from all ages. Like literally from all ages. Actually, I mean all ages, meaning like not kids or teenagers, but like in terms of 18 years old and older, and then women in their 70s and 80s telling me things. So because of that, I feel like once I digest that, I'll have something written out to say. And in the moment and in the process, I want to continue doing that, like through these types of podcasts and things like that.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're
Really.
welcome.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you, Shay.
You're welcome. Thank you, Katrina. Appreciate that. Continue shining.
Thank you. And for all of our listeners, share, like, comment, give this place of this conversation, the air, the breath, the vibrancy, to be able to be heard. And you never know what the ripple can be for people that you love and that you appreciate in your world.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.